Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Email me directly for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a watch launched at Bosworld 2012. It was launched as a white gold and a yellow gold model, but what sets this watch apart: the gems, the meteorite, the scarcity, and its handcrafted nature in an era of mass-produced Rolex watches. This is the Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona, reference 116599RBOW, the Rainbow Daytona. Again, this is the stuff legends are made of. Launched in 2012 and discontinued shortly thereafter. The example you see right here was retailed in 2014. It was ruinously expensive and difficult to make, meaning today it is collector's catnip. So, white gold, 40 millimeters in diameter. The watch measures 12.1 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 47.6 millimeters. But if we include the end links, the total distance across the wrist is going to be a distance of 51.7 millimeters. So that is your distance from lug tip to lug tip. There is a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs, but please tell me you're going to wear it on the factory bracelet. Pop open the double locking clasp, throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it wears well. It's an extravagant watch, but not a big one, though it is physically massive. With all that gold, including the caseback solid gold, you can really feel that Rolex's white gold watch feels like a platinum watch from any other brand. Plenty of space to neck down a little bit to a smaller wrist. This watch will fit easily under a cuff and wear on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference, and I've seen it done. Taking a look at the hardware and the software, it's worth mentioning that Rolex doesn't just make its own movements and dials, it makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps, and it has its own foundry. It pours its own gold, and it smelts what's known as gray gold in the industry. Whereas conventional white gold is rhodium plated with a milky yellow substrate underneath, this is 18 karat white gold all the way through. It never needs to be rhodium plated. Oyster bracelet, 3-link sports design, polished down the center, satinated flanks, polished outer faces, removable links fixed by screws. We have 2 locks here. Note a beak and a hook, and there's that lift lock that latches first. Then there's the clamshell lock underneath the coronet, a little curve to dig your nail in, 2 locking factors for absolute security, clasp internally polished. This is a high-end piece from Rolex. We have the Easy Link 5mm adjustment. It's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link. And then if you look carefully inside, you can see that there's some little divots built into the clasp. So there's a spring bar, and you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside of the clasp. Rolling around the case, the Daytona case has always been a pleasure, and since 1988, it's been particularly sinuous and sexy. The lugs come to a gentle taper, and they're thin at their ends. The case band has a complex contour to it. This is not the sheer side of a GMT, a Sub, or something like an Explorer 2. We have diamond paved lugs, and as you'll note, crown guards, trip lock crown, screw down chronograph pushers, 100 meters water resistant. So we have gems outboard, and then we have gems inboard, and this is where things got complicated and constrained the production of this watch. Hublot would make a watch like this with spinel, basically a fake gem. Rolex used real, color-matched and graded sapphires to create this rainbow-like gradient that's beautifully progressive and subtle. From gem to gem, you almost can't tell the difference, but when you hold it at arm's length, you can see the effect. These have the color, the clarity, and just enough transitional blend to create the effect you're seeing here. And again, because all of these are real, hand-selected and hand-cut, it slowed down the production of this model, not just in white gold, but also in the yellow and later rose gold. So this was constrained by a shortage of perfectly matched gems, and the gems themselves are all set by hand. This is a handmade Rolex in an era of mass production, but it continues on the dial. White gold indices, white gold crown, white gold hands, white gold Arabic numerals at 3, 6, and 9, and then we have brilliant set gems. on each of these white gold hour indices. The brilliant cut gives them a sparkle that's a little bit different from the baguettes, and you have the brilliant cut on the lugs and the crown guards, and then inboard surrounded by the baguettes. So not just a diversity of gems and color, but also of cuts. We have meteorite discs for the subregisters, each of which has a polished chapter ring, and of course the varnished red on the subregister hands as well as chronograph seconds. Flip it over, solid caseback, white gold. Inside, Rolex manufactured caliber 4130, bidirectional automatic winding, 72-hour power reserve, hacking seconds. It has both a column wheel for crisp actuation feel and sound, and a vertical clutch. So with the vertical clutch, there's no jump or stagger to the seconds hand when it starts up. And if you wish, you can leave your Rainbow Cosmograph running. The vertical clutch does not entail any additional wear and tear while operating. So this was one of the first Rolex movements to use a rotor bearing instead of a jeweled staff, making it more shock tolerant. The 44 jewel movement, which beats away at 4 Hertz, also features a full balance bridge and a free sprung index to make it more shock tolerant still. The watch has a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring, which helps it to earn its chronometer certification by keeping time very evenly in any physical position with respect to gravity. And I should mention that hairspring material that's used in the watch is a blue oxidized niobium zirconium that is highly anti-magnetic and hardened against magnetism. So the watch is water resistant down to 100 meters, shock resistant and anti-magnetic, all of those things, and technically refined, aesthetically outstanding, rare by virtue of its handcraft, and with a diversity of rich materials, gold, diamond, sapphire, meteorite. There's nothing else like it. Collect the trilogy, white gold, yellow gold, and rose gold, and wear the brass ring, the ultimate Rolex collection. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. It's even loomed.